You're tuned into the Growth Ceilings podcast, the show for builders, dreamers, and leaders ready to break limits and grow beyond what they thought possible.
Welcome to the Growth Ceilings podcast. I'm your host, Jim Lovelady, professional EOS implementer. EOS is the entrepreneurial operating system. This show is about real conversations with leaders who build, adapt, and create momentum in environments that demand clarity and speed. My guest today is Christian Chemaly. Christian is the founder and CEO of Polar Stork, a company known for turning bold ideas into shipped products through smart prioritization, creative problem solving, and rapid execution. His experience spans startups and large enterprises where he's built infrastructure, guided technical teams, and helped organizations move faster without losing stability. Christian has a clear perspective on innovation, decision-making, and how to operate when complexity and constraints collide. Christian, thank you for being here.
Lovely to be here, Jim. Thank you for the invite.
You describe innovation as a mix of creative decisions, constraints, and speed. When you begin building something new, what's your first filter for choosing direction?
So really, the first thing is to understand where my counterpart, my client wants to go to. Very often people come with very short-term, very specific goals. And my job is to try to unravel that so that we end up building the first step to a longer journey. So it's really about understanding where their end goal is, what their long-term vision is, and what the short-term vision that we want to execute first.
You've worked with both fast-paced startups and much larger organizations. What's the biggest difference in how each group approaches priorities?
Well, each of them they have different assets. So big companies have money, they have data, and they have preset structures, which smaller companies and startups don't have, which plays in both and for and against them. So what I've seen very often is that in the larger companies, there's a lot of organizational debt. So somebody has built something before and they don't want to change it, or the change will affect their prior decision and will reflect bad on them. So all of this red taping is very complicated. There's more players into the mix. So there's a lot of workflow approval that you want to go through, and there's a lot of more organizational chaos that you have to know how to navigate. But on the counter side, they have the ability to move you forward. So as long as you give them guidance and you're clear on how you want them to move, they'll be very helpful.
Tell us more about your company, Polar Stork. Tell us what was the problem that you're trying to solve, and tell us about the structure of the company today and what you deliver.
So initially, when I started Polar Stork, what I had seen is that development teams and the end stakeholders have a disconnect. The client or the CEO or the founders know what they want, but they're not able to transmit that correctly to the development team, who in their end do ship a product that is not exactly what they expected. So there's a lot of unspoken prioritization, unspoken expectations that needs to be cleared out. And so that's where the product role came into place. And over the years, I've grown the team to be able to deliver that interface, but also the subsequent element of the product lifecycle. So when it comes to what we do today, we build digital solutions, whether it's a web application, a mobile application, a website on different platforms with product at the core. So it's really understanding where you want to go, not just build this for me. And then what is very important, and that's what I tell a lot of the people I work with, is that the brief is not enough. You need to understand the end goal.
And so how long has the company been in existence?
We've been operating for 11 years now.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's been a journey. It's been a journey across multiple continents. So our head office is now in New York, but we have an office in Germany, actually moving now to Spain, an office in the Middle East, and people really remote across the world.
So you have like 3 locations, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. New York, Beirut, and Madrid, correct?
Madrid, that's correct.
Fantastic. So, and today you've got about a dozen employees?
About a dozen. So we have 12 people who are full-timing with us, and we have a larger Polar Stork communities. We call the Storkers. People who've worked with us in the past have moved on, but they still come back for punctual gigs. And that's been a really, really key element for me when I build the company, is how to build the culture and how to make people who work with me be able to expand their potential, but also feel home. So they want to come back. And it's been very, very, very successful so far.
Excellent. All right, I'm going to steer you back towards what you solve and the the solution you provide for your customers. When a team wants to ship faster, where do you usually look first for friction or wasted effort?
So before, maybe I think it's important to clarify fast, right? Because fast comes. So a lot of clients come and say, "I want this tomorrow," or "I want this next week." If people can write code and can deliver a quick result very fast, but then you might lose on the quality. So the first thing is to set up a proper infrastructure that allows you to automate or to normalize a lot of the processes so you can ship faster gradually. Clarity and documentation are very key because that's also a lot of, the project we took over from a V1 or a V0 that was previously made. You build in 2 weeks, you spend 2 weeks debugging and clearing out, and then you start incrementing your technical debt. So delivering fast means delivering a good quality product at an expected, and then when it comes to the friction, that's also where you want to define the impact of what you're building. If it's unlocking somebody, if it's unlocking another department, or if it is allowing you to validate assumptions, then this is something you need to ship. If it's not there yet, either it's too soon or it's not needed. And that's also where the decision process and the pushing back is very important.
You've built infrastructure that has to support growth and uncertainty. What principles guide your decisions when choosing what to build and what to avoid?
Data is key, and interviewing is very, very important. So the part of what we discussed earlier is that's really understanding what the impact of what we're building is, but also how validated it is. So instead of building a full feature, I would like to be able to build something smaller and validate it either with the users or with the stakeholders. Very often also what we do is we challenge the stakeholder. What if we only do this part? How is it going to impact you? And make them think with us. So it's a very collaborative process. It's not an execution only. It's really a joint effort. And it's also important to have all the key players, whether it's my team or my clients, work together and feel ownership on all sides.
When you challenge and you express how you may solve a solution or solve a problem, do you also paint the picture for what that vision will be or what that outcome will be?
Well, we do. Again, the painting comes, I think, in a reciprocal way. So the painting also comes, I think, some people need a more visual perspective of what you're building for them. But it's also understanding also the metric that you're getting to. So it's not only about saying that you will have a pay that is blue and white, but you will have a pay that will convert 20% more customers, that will allow them to do these capabilities. So there's always a part of educational session in the beginning where we educate our clients to understand how we think so that they can think with us. And so we make sure that there's this friction becomes minimal and minimal as you progress.
This is not in my list of questions, but I'm really eager to ask this. What do you love to do?
I love to find solutions. Generally, I love to make people happy and to find, to see this on the other side saying, oh, this is what I wanted. This is really what I was thinking of. And you put it down into words for me. So I think that part is really, really nice. And I also enjoy a lot when my team pushes forward. I tell them, don't do this. And no, I really want to do that. I think this will be really awesome. And when my teammate is driving, I think this is really gold.
I don't know what occurred and what you said, but it gave me the feeling like you really love what you do.
I do love what I do. I do love the people I work with. I think that's one of the luxury you have as an entrepreneur is that you get to pick your clients, your projects, your team.
I will go back to my scripted questions now. Startups are forced to learn fast. In your experience, what lessons from startups translate well to large companies and which ones do not?
I think the most important lesson is fail fast, which is very hard to accept in larger organizations, especially now in the advent of AI. People are afraid of trying something new because maybe it's not the right thing. And every failure is a learning that will help you with the next process. But all these learnings come with a lot of political momentum and you want in the larger organizations. So that's one thing that should translate, that doesn't really translate. The other thing I think is really ownership on a startup. I think the bigger the company is, the harder it is to delegate ownership. I'm very fortunate today that I see this with every one of my teammates. I call them teammates because they're really teammates. And so the bigger the company is, the harder it is to say, look, this is your product. When you deliver this, you will know that this is something that you have achieved.
So you talked about failing fast, and you've also mentioned creative problem solving. What does your process look like when the path forward is unclear?
Right, when the path forward is clear, the path forward is never clear. So that's one thing that's for sure. I think one aspect is to really take it as an advantage and a tool, and um, just it's like when you're walking in the fog. When you walk in the fog, you walk slowly. You put your hands everywhere on the side, and you shout. And so there's a lot of assumption made. Yes, you expect that there's something happening here. So I work a lot with assumptions and with validating or discrediting assumptions. I work a lot on delegating and ownership. I think to provide clarity, there has to be more people involved in pushing the ship forward. So you take a step in every direction, and then we reconvene. So that's one way to entrust the people who are working with you. Trust your choice of these people, and then trust them for their decision.
Fantastic. Thank you for that clarification. So talking about people, many teams struggle with decision paralysis. How do you create movement when everything feels important?
So I think what I've seen happening most is that the decision paralysis happens when the stakes are too high or unknown. So the key here is to diffuse, if you want, diffuse the situation, assign measurable risks and measurable rewards to the situation to help them take a decision. The other thing also is that it's important to ask questions. People sometimes, what I see often also this in larger organization is that they're afraid of asking because they don't want to be wrong. So you want to let them, help them express, put them in a comfort zone so they can make the decisions and they can unlock their own.
You've shipped products across different regions and different cultures. What have you learned about communication and alignment inside of distributed teams?
Oh, that's a great one. So for the record, we work currently I think in 7 time zones. So already internally we have a lot of this cultural learning that we've had from Latin America to the Middle East to Europe and the US. And we've seen a lot of there's the technical part obviously. So when you have fonts, text that gets smaller and larger, but there's also the communication, the style of communication that is very different between different countries, where our US counterparts are very direct, very straight to the point. In Europe, it's a bit more fluffy, so there's a bit more back and forth before happening, and there's a lot of reading between the lines, which when you're not used to that, you take the first answer as as what you need to do, and then you don't push back for it. And I think the notion also of respect is a bit different, and the way that you express respect in different regions of the world, whether it's through your words, through your questions, your assumptions, that's been very interesting. So when we delivered the product for nonprofit in Turkey, and we worked with a group of Turkish lawyers, and this has been really interesting because we've built the website first from a US perspective, and then we got to them, and they're like, this is not nice. This is not clear. And as we were going back and forth with them, we understand better what they were expecting and how we want to achieve the goal that they really have in mind. Sometimes it's conversion. Sometimes it's onboarding new user. Sometimes it's just letting them know that you're here. So it's definitely an interesting part.
Well, Christian, you're an interesting person. How many languages do you actually speak?
I speak well 4. I'm working on the 5th one now, Spanish.
You're working on your 5th language. Oh, that's great. That's phenomenal. Let's turn now to discipline. It's kind of a key word in business. Innovation often requires saying no. How do you decide what not to build or where not to invest time?
So the decision of not investing time is hard. I think it's where to invest less time, or how do you decide when to stop? I think that's the clearer way of how I approach things. And it's I set micro goals. So this is what I want, what I'm expecting to achieve out of this, and I try to reassess really fast. So usually within the week, I need to be able to take a decision: this is something that I want to move forward with or not. And as hard as it is, I try to go back to making rational decisions. A lot of decisions are, very much of a gut decision, or sentimental decision sometimes, which is very hard when you're managing a team or managing people and so on. So it's a mix of both. It's a mix of disassociating yourself from the problem and also giving it just enough time to make a clear decision.
When you said the term micro goals, when you set micro goals, do you have a standard timeline that you apply that from the definition of the goal to the point that you're going to complete that goal? Do you have a standard time that you apply to that?
So it depends on the size of the problem I'm solving. I work in weeks. So I try to go as fast as much possible by 1 week of time. And I try to apply the SMART principles. So that's kind of my 1 week metric. Typically in development, we work in 2 week sprints. So that's also probably that's what helps me kind of break this logic. And I feel that less than a week is difficult to organize. So now, you finish your week, you got there, and then you can take a step back and ponder over the weekend.
Not to bring a lot of EOS in this conversation, should you and I ever find ourselves working together through EOS, we call micro goals, or what we would use the term called rocks. And they are basically 90-day goals, objectives. And we measure each week whether we're on track or off track. And we also apply the SMART acronym when we write the rock, what it is we're going to set out to do, and we apply SMART in writing that. So interesting how you naturally have come to doing that for yourself, absent of a true EOS solution for your business, which is excellent. So I congratulate you.
That's awesome. Yeah, I have pebbles, not rocks.
So I'll get you out of here on this. Looking ahead, what shifts in technology or organizational structure will matter most for companies that want to stay innovative?
Well, right now, obviously, AI is the big topic of everyone's mouth, and it's also on how to adapt this along with your process, with your team, with your people, with your vision. So I believe that there's no way around it, but there's also a balance to be put between what people do, what software do, what AI does. Actually, that's what we've been focusing a lot over the past 6 months now, is to reinsert this flywheel between process, people, technology, and AI, because we've seen that a lot of companies have jumped the gun way too fast and moved over to AI completely when it was not mature enough. But also there's a need to understand that this will remain your co-pilot, but you should be driving the ship. That's kind of what we're doing today with Assista, which is Assista, another company I'm starting now. On a more human level, I think that today we have a lot of leaders who have been evolving over the few decades and applying their learnings with the new technology. As for the new leaders who are coming out now, who didn't have this experience, they will need to palliate it somehow. And I think there's a room here to provide non-AI solutions for leaders who want to grow.
Christian, I get the idea that, or I get the sense you're probably going to create several companies before it's all said and done. This has been a great conversation. I thank you. You've shown how clarity, prioritization, and the willing to ship fast can change the momentum of a team. Your experience offers a clear picture of how innovation actually works inside real organizations, and whether they are startups or global enterprises. For our listeners who want to learn more, you can connect with Christian on LinkedIn and explore the work his team is doing at Polar Stork. Thank you for joining me today, and thanks to everyone listening and for being a part of the Growth Ceilings community. Until next time, keep growing, keep leading, and keep breaking through. Thank you.
You've been watching the Growth Ceilings podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who's ready to grow.